Hello and welcome everyone to the OVRC and welcome back after a bit of a break, back to the OVRC GT Series Season 5. We are once again joined here by Erwin.
Hello again, nice to be back here streaming again.
It has been a while indeed. I'm a bit out of
Yep,
practice now.
nine months since the last stream, so we'll see how well this goes. Hopefully we can pick things up quickly again and get into swing of things.
Yeah, hopefully we can pick up things very well. It has been an awful while, as I said, but there has been lots of changes going on as the end of practice is coming up to now. First of all, the GT3 rework is out finally. The cars have been redone. New car in the class. That's just on the game end of things. There's also a bunch of changes in the OVRC itself, but that's not really important right now. We'll discuss those over qualifying, because as we are now into the practice with Mike Stoffel topping the time charts with a 1:53.4. As we now head straight into qualifying, and the first car out looks like to be Jake Moore. It was the car went to second place in practice, so he's probably trying to get some clear track ahead of him. So while we're on this outlap, have you had a bit of a go in the cars, haven't you? Now, the new reworked GT3 cars in Race Room.
I have had a little bit of a go, but that said, I can't really say much about it because it was a really long time ago since I tried the old physics, but they do feel really good, I'd say.
Yes, I hated the old physics for quite a while. I've been quite a big against them, but these new ones, I like them a lot. They feel very nice. Balance performance has shifted around a bit. It does seem though that the era of the domination of the Porsche is still there, depending where you go to. But no, some of the other cars are here. As we saw in practice, an Audi was leading the tables, followed by Mercs, BMWs, and the Corvette, all up there. So should be a close field, tight field, lots of different cars, lots of different brands of showing off here. So we are, for the first round, we are at the Nürburgring, famous track from all sorts of motorsport disciplines. F1's been here, DTM, GT cars go here, and most notably the 24 Hours of Nords goes here as well. They use the north part of the track as well as the bit we're on. So it's quite a well-known track, so everyone should know it. Hopefully all the drivers understand it. I hope they have. As Jake Moore will start his first flying lap. As he heads down the start-finish straight, you got these big grandstands to one side and the pit lane to the other. You head all the way down into turn one, the infamous hairpin. Well known from many online lobbies as a point of contention. And then you head into the tricky and technical Mercedes Arena, the most recent addition to this track. Some people like it, some people hate it. I don't mind it. Quite tricky, quite technical. A bit more down. You've got to try and hit all the apexes you can and get a good exit. It's all about the exit here. Get a good exit. You head now down towards the Valvoline corner and then to Ford. So it's a quick set of corners. Then you go to the right-hander, which is called Ford. And then down here is another little bit of a straight with a kink in it, down to Dunlop. Dunlop hairpin. This is now a bit rounder. It's not so sharp. It's quite round. It's quite flowing. It's also a bit banked. So, possible overtaking opportunity here for many drivers. As you go out of Dunlop into the Schumacher S's, which is an old place where you do not overtake in. If someone does, I don't know what I'm going to say about them. It's not a particularly safe place to do it. So you go through that, up to the Michelin corner, I believe this is called. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. And then you now head down the sort of back straight, where it's not really straight, it's a kink in it. As you will see in a couple of seconds. And then you head into the chicane at the end. We're using the fast chicane, not the slow one, the fast one, because it's a bit more interesting. try and hit as much as you can. No sausage curves on this layout, luckily, unlike the VLN layout, so you don't have to worry about those. Through the final hairpin and then onto the back finish straight, where you'll set your time, and Jake will set a 1:53.8. The next car to cross the line to set a time will be Thomas Janssen, which will go fastest with a 1:54.1. Apparently I got a timing bug, because it didn't set a 53, it set a 54.2.
Yeah, it looks like it didn't count Jake Moore's lap.
He also invalidated it at some point. I think we did see it somewhat on the stream, as all the first times are coming through now. I think, yeah, you saw that on the onboard, he cut the chicane a bit too much, and that probably invalidated his lap. But he does have the pace. He is showing a lot of pace during all the practice. And it'd be interesting to see. His greatest rival, though, so far seems to be Mike Stoffmel.
Yep, with a 3/10 improvement in Sector 1.
Going for the Schumacher S now as well, as he starts a bit of a climb up the hill. He's being very fast in the Audi. The Audi does seem to be the car to use right now, as the quickest times do seem to be set in it. But, you know, it's not the only car out there. The Mercs have been quite strong, as I said. The BMW, a car which for ages was uncompetitive, is now somewhat has a position now, it seems.
Yeah, so Thomas Janssen is improving on his own time as well, though he doesn't seem to be quite as fast as Mike Stoffmel.
Stoffmel improves his middle sector and now is heading to the start-finish line to finish his lap, and he goes fastest for 1:53.7, which is him original pole with 9 minutes to go.
Tom, however, went faster than Mike in Sector 2. The rest was faster Sector 1. He's about to cross the line now, and he retakes first position.
1:53.7, I believe that is his fastest time in the session overall. During practice, he didn't really get up there, which is surprising, because we're used to Janssen being at the top, generally. He's a very well-known driver in the OVRC. Well, he's one of the founders. He's always been quite up there at the top, so good to see him back up there. No bias at all in that statement.
None at all.
Another familiar face we have is Tom Pottage. He has once again returned to racing in Race Room. As a sort of side tangent, I've been racing with him. He still is racing. I raced with him in the other sim, the sim we do not mention. We won there under the OVRC name, so he's still got his speed there. He seems he can unleash it in his Mercedes AMG as his weapon of choice this time out. It seems that Mike Stoffmel is improving globally sectors.
Yep, 2/10 down on the current best Sector 1.
Tom Pottage gets a bit squirmy on the exit of the hairpin.
Mike Stoffmel got his lap invalidated, so that won't be an improvement on this lap.
What else is going on?
Jake Moore goes fastest in Sector 1.
Yep, he is going fastest, so here finally going to try and set a lap time. His first lap did get invalidated, as we saw, but he's looking to try and get that pole position spot. And you can always never use the practice times fully to represent where people are standing in the field. But some people running with a with race fuel, some with quali fuel. But this time it's a pure test of your pace, because this is where everyone's going to be having as little fuel as possible. Brand new, fresh tyres. Everyone's just going to be pushing as hard as they can, so we're going to see who is actually the fastest driver over one lap. This doesn't really out-counter race pace, but one lap we're going to find is faster. And so far it seems like it's Jake Moore, as he improved both Sector 1 and Sector 2.
So he's about to cross the line, and he takes third position. So it was showing all the sectors as purple for me, Not sure why that happened, because he went to third position.
I believe his final sector he lost down his final sector, so I think there might be another timing bug. But he improved in both sector 1 and sector 2, but probably lost out a bit in the final sector to Jansen. So Jansen so far, his strongest place is the final sector, I'd say.
Yeah, both him and Mike Stoffmill are also improving in sector 1 again on the global improvement. Jansen seems to be... Oh, Mike Stoffmill just lost a couple tenths in sector 2.
Jansen's improved his first sector, and he's now going to head to the second. The timing line's just coming up. It's just round past this corner.
Stoffmill went back in the pits, he's abandoned his lap.
Jansen improves his second sector. He's now into the hairpin. The big, large M6, one of the larger GT3 cars, along with the Bentley, which unfortunately is no Bentleys this time out. Quite a common sight in the OVRC. It'll disappear as he improves his time, I believe.
Yes, seems like Jansen shaved about a tenth of his time. Jake Moore, however, has improved in sector 1. So let's see what he can do in sector 2. Another improvement, double improvement.
Yep,
as he goes around the final corner now. And let's see what happens when he crosses the line. And he goes up to second position.
Yeah, he goes up to second. So it's Jansen's still clinging on to provisional pole right now.
Yeah, Jake seems to have lost out in the final sector again.
Doesn't seem to be able to go. I don't know if he may be a bit cautious now in that chicane, because obviously his first lap got invalidated. So he may be a bit more cautious in that chicane, just to make sure he actually gets the time on the board. It's worth noting a lot of drivers just before the final hairpin are riding that curb quite a bit, and we also in practice some cars spinning out on that curb when the floor of the car hits the curb if they're running quite a low ride height. So it might be advisable in the race. Some people may not do it as much, but it should be interesting to see how many people actually do get caught out by using so much curb. We might see Dendo use it. No, he stays way off it. But as you can see, it does have quite a steep incline there on that curve. Dendo will cross the line. He's going to P19.
Jake Moore has again improved in sector 1. He seems to be consistently faster than Jansen in sector 1 and 2, but losing out in sector 3.
A few improvements going across the board so far, and
Jake Moore's gone back into the pits.
Obviously not happy with that lap. He's got not much time to get out again. I don't think he. I think if he gets out now, would just about have time to set a lap. Only 2 minutes and 45 seconds left in the session. But not long now to set a time.
I don't think he gets another chance at it. Because the whole session stops once the timer stops. You can't finish your lap. So we need to have quite an impossibly fast outlap to get another chance.
As one of the cars jumps up to P6. Rinyan? I think that's it. One thing we're coming back to OVRC again is the fact that I'll butcher everyone's second name up. It's tradition.
There's a lot of new names as well.
There is a lot of new names. It's nice to see. There's some familiar faces, but some new names as well, and it's all great to see. Honestly, sometimes it's nice to have some fresh blood in there to challenge the old guard. Also, one of the old guard is Sebastian Brunier, who's currently sitting P14 in his M6 BMW.
Meanwhile, Alexander Sacher just went from 5th to 8th position.
Now, something that's quite surprising is the Porsches. Not that strong right now. The 911, the new 911, the 2019 model, which got added in the last update, It's quite strong. It seems to be in leaderboards and public races quite strong. But right now, none of them in the top 10. No Porsche in the top 10. Right now, the car on pole is a BMW. Followed by 2 Audis. So, yeah, it would be interesting to see if maybe later on in the series we'll see some Porsches move up. But so far, it looks like it's a... And they're not at the races right now. Only a few more cars on track right now.
Stephen Higgins is in 20th position right now, but he is improving. And getting very close to the end of his lap now. Let's see if he can make up a few positions. And he moves up a couple of positions to 18th.
Improvements, and they just need that final attempt improvement. So, and that'll be the end of qualifying. So, I don't think anyone else will be improving times. Or saying that, some people moved around at the back. Thomas Janssen takes pole position, followed by Jake Moore.
Wow, never seen that before.
Well, Thomas Olsen, Alexander Secker, David Icarus, Robert Nygaard, Gunman, Tom Pottage, and I can't read. Moneko. I butchered all those names up. I apologise. Names are not my strong point. As we now will move into the race. A bit of grilling up time. So, any predictions?
Well, I think the top 2 drivers, so Jensen and the others, they were quite close together in qualifying, so it will be interesting to see what their race pace is like, because that can be quite different, of course, from just pure qualifying pace.
Yeah, I think that's going to be. I think the out and the start. I think Jansen's worried about the M6's launch, because obviously he's going back to standing starts again. He's worried about the M6's launch, and I think the Audis might be able to jump him as the lights, all the cars line up on the grid, and red lights are showing, and we are go for the first round of the OVRC GT Series. It seems that Thomas Jansen might be able to keep his lead going to turn 1. Yes, he does. He covers off the inside. So far clean as everyone heads down into the hairpin. A bit of contact. Trying to avoid it as everyone seems to be going through. Just find a bit of slow down, but no one's turned around. Often a very slow Porsche at the back there.
Yeah, that one seemed to head off into the grass as it... I think it broke a bit too late. And oh, someone's spun off into the grass. It's Sergei Yakimchuk in the red Mercedes.
He's all the way at the back of the grid so far as everyone else is single file now down towards Ford. Robert Nygaard defending off against Dragos behind him in the both in the M6. Thomas Janssen managed to get quite a bit of getaway now. He's got a 1 second gap already in the first couple of corners, so he's getting a very good launch. His fears, somewhat not really a fear anymore, it seems. It will now start to head up the field as there's a bit of side-by-side action going on down the field for P15. So enough it's for the Schumacher rest the first time around. A bit of cars and gravel. Don't want to be there too much.
Bit of side-by-side going on between Alexander Secher and Tom Pottage.
Pitton has spun. He has spun the Porsche. He's now has to wait for everyone to get past on track, and he's gone. he's just gone. I guess he wasn't doing it that's one less car, one early retirement already. As all now head towards the high hairpins. The car diving down with the Audis, and that is dived down the inside of the Corvette of Icarus. Does seem to have made the move of Rometko in the Audi. And he's now defending off from the Corvette, but will take the inside line into the hairpin. And will probably defend it. Yeah, he does. There we go. Oh, saying that, he does lose the traction on the rear. And loses 3 positions out of that. So all that 1 position gained, all lost in 1 corner. does seem still fairly clean now. Everyone makes their way up for the second lap. Still packed quite bunched together. No obvious people moving around right now. As Tom Pottage is on the back of Alexander Stecker. Mercedes versus Mercedes. They now pass through Dunlop up through the Schumacher S's. The gap between the leaders has closed down a bit now. Jake Moore and people seem to have got closer to the back of Thomas Janssen. It's not all over yet. Meanwhile, in the midfield, there's a big old gaggle of cars. They have not broken away. Currently, Robert Nygaard is leading his pack, I believe, of cars, but they're all still very close together in that mid-pack. No one's been managed to pull away from each other just yet. So far, it's still remaining clean as everyone still heads into the final hairpin. Cars looking for moves, but nothing can really be made right now. So, just looking around, it seems to be most people are staying fairly safe right now.
Yeah,
so there's a bit of contact in the hairpin, but didn't seem to amount to much, but there has been a bit of contact.
Mike Stuffmill seems to be losing out ever so slightly to Jake Moore and Thomas Janssen, just falling behind a bit.
Oh, and Sebastian Brun is spun in the Mercedes arena. He has the stack still. I hope no one hits into him. He can't do anything. This bit of clonk dead by one of the Porsches. He has to spin the car around. That's disastrous for his race. I think he just spun on his own. I don't think there's any assistance there by anyone else, but that has really ruined his chances of a good result. He's just going to have to keep driving on and hope we've got no damage off that. 'Cause one major change to race room over the update has been the introduction of suspension damage, which means that hitting the curb too hard, hitting other cars, may result in suspension being damaged, which can either be a minor inconvenience to just outright making the car undrivable. There is another factor that drivers do have to bear in mind now when door-to-door rubbing. There's Jake Moore. Despite the fact that Johnson got a fairly early jump in the lead, not exactly getting away right now, as he still has the BMW, the Audi of Jake Moore still lingering behind him.
Yeah, so we'll see what the lap times are, so we can see what the pace is like once they cross the line. Okay, so Janssen last lap did a 54.9 and Jake Moore did a 55.0. So Janssen was actually a tenth faster.
Still very close as they get once again bunch up again, heading into the hairpin.
Mike Stuffield did a 54.8, so he's faster than Janssen and Moore.
I think it's going to be very close between these three right now. They're not exactly any of them are pulling away, but it's quite interesting to see the difference in the car. One is obviously the LR8, very small mid-engine sports car. One's the completely opposite end of the spectrum, a front-engine large GT car being the M8. M8? M6. Wrong car, wrong series.
Alexander Pahomankov in the Porsche has fallen behind Sebastian Brunier, so I think he's had some kind of accident as well. Then we didn't see what happened.
We'll be able to see what happened, but yeah, he's dropped all the way down and gone quite far back, and he's got to do one hell of a drive to get anywhere near the midfield. So the midfield is still somewhat quite bunched together, but they are slowly spreading out. Which seems to always tend to happen in these sort of races. Saying that they're all bunched up together now on the timing. So it seems like no one's really gonna be able to make a gap at all.
Oh, two cars are involved in an accident. Christoph Verstappen and Thijs Dendo are off the track. They've fallen back to 19th and 20th position.
Yep, and it seems a bit of bodywork damage and suspension damage in those cars. One of the Audi missing a front bumper, has a bit more tyre marks up ahead down the road. As yeah, it seems to be a big old shunt's gone on there. I don't know exactly what's happened, but one of those cars is probably going to enter the pit lane.
It does look like some pretty severe damage. And Thijs Dendo is being very slow after that accident, so he seems to have gotten the worst of the damage.
As Steppen is heading into the pit lane.
And he spun. Dendo has spun off into the gravel.
He's got to have suspension damage.
Yeah, I think he'll either retire or see if he can still get back to the pits and repair the car, but at this point he's very far behind, so I don't expect him to continue. But he might, of course.
Every position is a point.
And he spun around again in the chicane.
Every position is a point in the OVRC, so as long as you finish...
That is true.
As long as you finish, you get points. So you get position points for P22 if he finishes right now as it is.
That is a very good point.
So if he depends how much he values his championship hopes. If he wants to keep his position in the championship, it'd be a very smart idea to keep going to the end.
Yeah, Christoph Verstappen is meanwhile in the pits, and he seems to be repairing his damage.
Yep, and it seems that Dendo's also made his way into the pit lane as well, so they're probably going to get full suspension repairs on their cars. Hopefully they'll bring them back together again. Well, not back together again in the same way, but back out on track.
Meanwhile, some action happening between Dragon's Pipe and Gorinyan. Dragon's Pipe looked about close enough to overtake, but it actually wasn't actually able to pull that off. But they're still pretty close together.
Goes go. Meanwhile, the pack up ahead is currently seems a bit of a bottle, cork in the bottle right now of Tom Pottage. He seems to be very much closing the gap as I've changed it for P2 right now. As there's a fight going on between Jake Moore and Mike Stoffman. Oh, mixing my names up completely there. As they go side by side in the Mercedes arena. And they stay side by side on the exit. It looks like Jake Moore's just managed to just get a tiny bit ahead.
A tiny bit of contact there, but nothing major.
And this is going to play directly into Thomas's favour, because he wants these two.
Yeah, Thomas will be happy to see this, I think. As he did just gain a bit of time out of that. Interestingly, all of the top three did a 1:54.9 last lap, so they seem to be pretty equal in pace at this point in the race. So obviously Moore and Stoffmill have just lost a bit of time on this lap because of their fight.
Yeah, they're going to have to regain all that, but they do have to pace, so as soon as I can clear in again, I think they can probably catch up to Thomas again. As those two are still very quick. So we're going now into past the 10-minute mark. So 10 minutes of the race has gone. So quite a long time to go. Grid is slowly spreading up, but not as much as you think it would at this point. There still is some close by to go. Sebastian Brunier is getting the back of Victor Gorick. He's off his spin earlier. He's trying to make his way back up the field. The Porsche ahead of him. I think the Porsche was involved in a bit of incident earlier on.
Yeah, so both Moore and Stoffmill just lost just under a second, almost a second of lap time compared to Jensen.
As Maxim van den Hove is looking for a move possibly on Alexander Schecker, but backs out of it into the hairpin, decides better of it, decides that, you know what, maybe it's worth just lasting a few more laps rather than sending the move down now. He's still got plenty of time to make a move as long as he can hang on the back of that Mercedes in front of him.
Meanwhile, both Christopher Verstappen and Thijs Dendo, who were involved in that accident earlier, are back out on track.
Quite far down the order though. So I've got a strange feeling they will not be really there's me racing till the end to get the points, which will be probably worth it. Honestly, you don't want to have to lose all your points.
Yeah, it's still a significant amount of points for finishing 21st and 22nd.
Yep. As the midfield pack is still got some close battles, slowly is spreading out. Obviously a few spins here and there and a bit of incidents will cause that to happen. But still very close. Robin Nygaard's got the Corvette of SL behind him. I think Dendo spun again into the wall. Not into the wall. He's not having a good race so far.
Yeah, he's in the barrier.
Happened there. He obviously went to the pit lane to get repairs. Obviously not repaired enough to keep going. I have an engine dead right now.
Yeah.
Not seeing anything. He is pretty static right now near the track. Can't actually quite hear it as you.
And he's back in the pit, so Lando has retired.
From the race. Guess he just spun in the Mercedes arena or something, or didn't get his full repairs. Something like that. You'll probably find out soon in the Discord server. After that,
Yep.
Fortunate end to his race.
Link to the Discord server in the description, by the way, if you want to join that.
You can hear all the juicy drama, which is the lack of, because drama's not allowed. But, you know, pretend. As you know, I was mentioning the fact that Jake Moore and Mike Stoffman were quick. They have already closed the gap up onto Thomas Janssen again. So they are gaining quickly onto those. Cassell is still chasing Robin Nygaard right now. His Corvette.
Yeah, and so Moore and Stoffman have gained a fair bit on the last lap, doing a 54.7 for both, while Jensen did a 53.
Yep. So those three still look like they can probably have a fight to the end at this rate. None of them are going to be backing down anytime soon. Goes all the way back up again. Both the Audis are together. As Mike Stoffer just looking for that move. He's probably just waiting for a chance to get past. Because I think both those Audi drivers think, "Oh, I'm going to be the one to overtake."
Romanenko just went on the inside of Molliet and did manage the overtake on the final corner. So they are both on the straight now. Let's see if maybe Molliet can make the position back into turn 1. Go down turn 1 now, and it seems that Romanenko has secured the position.
Yep, Mollet's hung him back, but he's got quite close to him again afterwards. But yeah, I don't know what the move was like, but quite a lot of close fighting going on still in the midfield, which is always nice to see. Midfield's always strong in the OVRC. It's nice to see that back already in the new series.
Definitely.
Back to our leaders right now, the leading pack. Everyone is still, those three still same orders to start with. So Janssen still is leading, followed by Jake Moore and followed by Mike Stoffmel. As oh, Jake Moore spun. He spun, and he's now dropped down to P4.
Behind Thomas Olsen.
Yep, behind Thomas.
I was about to say Jensen, Stoffmel and Moore were both doing very similar lap times, 54.7 and 54.8. So they still seem about equal in pace, but Moore just threw away a couple positions.
Yeah, so he's going to have to work his back up. He does have to pace, and he's got some hope in the back of his mind that Stoffmel and Janssen have a fight now. Because if they have a fight, he can close the gap quite quickly. But what Janssen needs to do is try and get away as quick as possible right now. He doesn't want to fight.
Jensen was about half a second faster than Stoffmill on that last lap, so perhaps Stoffmill also was maybe somehow kind of involved in that spin. I don't know, I couldn't see. But he's lost a bit of time anyway.
Of time. Don't know if maybe there's a bit of avoidance or something like that. We don't really know. Didn't quite catch on camera. As Mollett is still trying to get game time back on the Audi in front of him of Romenko. Still holding fairly close to each other, so no one's really breaking away yet. Interesting to see the Corvettes are running strong. Again, another car which was always nice to drive before. It was very stable, but never really had the pace to keep up with the top runners. But now it's definitely a competitive car as such. Definitely top hands. That car could be very, possibly a race winner with the right driver behind it.
Yeah, Icarus, Nygaard and Cassel are also quite close together, but not really any attempts to overtake happening there yet. But they are close together, so maybe something coming up later in the race.
Like the possibility right now. We are sticking together. It's a bit of a Corvette sandwich right now with Corvette leading and a Corvette behind and a BMW in the middle. I don't know what BMWs taste like though, so I don't know if it'd be a very tasty sandwich. So heading into the 20-minute mark. As Cassel looks to make a move. Nygaard takes the defensive line into the final hairpin. He's a bit slow there, so he possibly could get attacked by Corvette behind him, Cassel. Take the defensive line going into turn 1. That round the outside, quite possibly. Not much you can go there. It's very easy to defend that corner. The only way really around the outside is if you get a good slingshot back out and take the inside line to Mercedes Arena. But that is quite hard to do indeed, especially in medium downforce cars like GT cars are these days. Maybe in a sort of like an open wheeler, you could possibly do that. So the grid is slowly calming down. It is slowly getting there. Still not over yet. Still 40 minutes to go, or just under that now. Still just very close. The gap at the top, I don't know if Mike Stoffman is closing the gap. He doesn't seem to be. You've got a bit of work to do trying to close that gap, as Jake Moore is still on his comeback drive as well. He's faster than Thomas Olsen. You're going to need to go even faster than that to keep up with Jansen and Stoffmel, top 2 positions.
Yeah, so Jansen was a couple tenths faster than Stoffmill on the last lap, so he's not really closing the gap right now.
As Romenko is still on something of a bit of a charge right now. He's got the Maximum van der Hoeven in front of him. I mean, the highest placed Porsche right now, so Porsche's done on the top 10, one position out. Get the top 10's place secure for a Porsche. But Romenko is looking like that make harder because he's gained quite a bit of a gap from Mollett. So he's a bit of a charge right now in his Audi. See if he can close that gap any further now. Possibly secure himself P11. Saying as we got to jump onto Cassel there as he gets close to Robert Nygaard, but then he loses a bunch of time on the exit of the Mercedes Arena. It shows you how much time you lose by getting that exit wrong there. That is a very important corner to get right. If you struggle at that corner, you will just lose time. And I'd say it's one of the most important corners on the track in terms of absolute lap time.
Yeah, Cassell and Nygaard are very similar in pace at the moment. So they're sticking close together, but Cassell does not really have the advantage to actually be able to overtake.
Yep. Shows how closely matched these cars are, because while both these cars are front engine, they're still quite different philosophy of design. Corvette's all about that the diffuser and to get its downforce. Well, the M8, I keep saying M8, M6 is a bit more got air on the top and it's a bit more just larger and a bit boatier. Corvette's very nimble. Still very close in total lap time, so it is interesting to see how they will fare. Another thing that will be matter will be tyre wear. Obviously, it's a 1 hour race, normal tyre wear. So, but towards the end of the race, tyres will start to get a bit more worn and there'll be less grip out. So, we're interested to see how the cars will handle, how the drivers will handle that condition. Well, tyres are about to last about a lap roughly before they start to get punctures.
So at the top of the pack right now, Jake Moore is doing very similar pace to Thomas Olsen, so he's not really gaining anything. And Thomas Jensen and Mike Stoffman are also doing very similar pace to each other, so not really much happening there.
Go away with 35 minutes to go. It's not been, so far, a very good opener for us. Lots of close racing going on, but we've still got plenty of time for more racing to happen. Everyone sort of, the groups of packs of cars and such have spread out a bit. Yeah. As I think we have another retirement.
Yep, Victor Gorick has retired, which is one of the Porsches.
So he is pulled. He is retired. Magnus Barbe is closing on the back of Steve Higgins. So they head into the Schumacher S's. Getting very close now. I think these fairly close at the start of the race, so it's nice to see them back together as they enter. As Steve Higgins is also closing up onto the Porsche in front of him of Villar. Vibe could possibly move now in chicane. He can get in front of him. He's got the slipstream. He's tucked in right behind the BMW. Here's a slight issue with the fast chicane. It's quite risky to make an overtake unless you're absolutely sure you can do it. Because unlike the normal chicane, where it's a dead stop and turning, this one you can't. It's not really like that. It's quite fast, quite scary as well.
That explains the name Fast Chicane.
Yeah, it explains the name Fast Chicane. But it is quite on the edge though. You got to balance the car up quite well. As Bibe does look to make a move possibly into turn 1. Is he going late in the brakes? No, he doesn't. He doesn't really do much of a dive. And we'll stay as they go somewhat side by side into Mercedes Arena. It says that he's going around the outside in the Mercedes Arena. Close racing going on right now between these two. Tuck in behind, or saying that, no, he's going to the inside now on the exit. And he gets the move done. He exits the Mercedes Arena. Still going to defend a bit. Humans will try and come back at him again now before into the next couple of calls into Ford and such, but not quite close enough. Bibe moved up into P15. Very good racing between the two M6s there. Two long-standing OVRC members. Been around for a few seasons now, those two.
Pahomankov had another little spin. but he's back now, so it didn't seem to be too bad. Sebastian Brunier is closing up on a Jakimchuk. And Brunier is a fair bit faster, it seems. Though, in terms of best laps, the actual current laps are very similar.
Yeah, I believe he has quite a significant role in helping set up the M6 for Janssen. So those two are working together in the team. Oh, and one of the BMWs has spun around. I think that is Higgins. So Higgins has spun in turn 1. Just saw the edge of there then. Don't know what quite happened there. Don't know if he's got damage at all. He has got a bit of front end damage, so he has hit the wall. Is it enough to bother repairing or not, to find out about his lap time, if he does pit or not. It's a shame, because he's running decently then. Running in a P16, P15, he's down to P18 with possible damage. Hope he can continue on, make it to the end.
Was Brunier the one to have a spin early in the race?
Yeah, that's been very early on, when back in the first couple of laps or so.
Okay, so he does seem to have pretty good pace to make up a few positions throughout the rest of the race. There should be a decent recovery for him.
Yep. Right on the back of that Mercedes in front of him. I'll be awfully surprised he doesn't make a move in the next couple of corners or laps or so, as he gets a better S6 now out of the this wall. Yeah, then back straight into the fast chicane. Let's pull out of it. Again, it's so risky to make a move into there. It's not worth it sometimes. So otherwise, what could happen is if at some point you have to turn your car in. So it often does lead to painful situations where cars go everywhere and people are unhappy with each other.
Yeah, it seems Jakimchuk did get a better exit out of the final corner.
Ooh,
so Brunier lost a bit of time there.
Christian got very close and had to somewhat avoid
the
Mercedes, who's lost him a bunch of time. He's going to have to try and regain that time as well. Dragus Biber spun in the Mercedes arena as well. So both his M6s, which were racing each other earlier, have spun.
So he's falls behind Brunier.
Hasn't he got any damage? But yeah, he did lose it then. Don't know why. He was gaining on the back of Villar, so he could have a possible contact with Villar. Possibly not.
So another status update on the front of the pack. Thomas Jensen is pulling away from Mike Stoffmeal slightly, while Thomas Olsen and Jake Moore are doing very similar laps.
Jake Moore was not gaining as quickly as I thought he would. I thought he'd be rocketing ahead and trying to get front, but he doesn't seem to be having that. The pace in the car probably has gone at this point. Halfway through the race, the tyres will be quite worn.
Yeah, Tom Pottage is in a bit of a no man's land actually. He's not quite fast enough to keep up with the front of the pack, but he's also faster than the people behind him. So it's a bit of a lonely race for him.
Yep, he's got to keep his pace though. You get a decent result here. P5 right now. As Alexander Secretary is now at the back of Brunion. Got both front engine cars. Left from Mercedes Arena. Just ahead of him is Cassell, who's a bit on his own now. There's a bunch of, again, with the spins that have happened, the crashes, and just the general racing, the pace difference, the gaps have opened up a bit, but there's still little packs of activity going on. Of similar equally drivers or just the slipstream keeping stuff together. It does show how good these cars are for racing, these GT3 cars. But obviously in stuff like Formula 1 or that style of car, quite hard to have close racing. But due to the nature of these vehicles, not having much downforce, and a lot of it developed by the underfloor, this leads to me you can follow each other quite well, have very close racing as a result.
And of course, balance of performance as well.
Yep, balance of performance is a key part in keeping the different manufacturers together, different cars, different types of cars.
Yeah, it means they can run some very different car configurations.
Especially with Porsche
Front engines, rear engines, mid engines. 6 cylinders, 8 cylinders, 10 cylinders, turbos, natural gas spaces, everything.
Everything. You can just as long as you have a car, you can race in GT3. It will be competitive, as long as you don't build an absolute stinker. There have been some cars in GT3 history which have just been awful, and they've never been competitive. But a lot of them, especially ones made by the big manufacturers, are very competitive. And worth noting, stuff like the Callaway Corvette, that is, it's not developed by Corvette. Like a lot of these cars are developed by the in-house performance divisions of said manufacturer. Mercedes is built by AMG Motorsport. It's a product you buy from them. But the Corvette is developed by Callaway, which is a tuner company. Not very big, but it shows you the fact that as long as you have a technical know-how, you could build a GT3 car. You had people like ML Frey working on the Jaguar, which with barely any factory support, and managed to make that thing work well. It shows how versatile this class is of car, and shows why it's probably one of the most popular forms of sports car racing today. And we're seeing the side effects of that in sim racing. It's very popular, as you can see. I think we have 29 sign-ups in total. In the race we had 23 cars start. And so yeah, it is a very popular class, and because of what we're getting now, the product is great. Going back to the product, Alex and Seco is still very close to the back of Grignon, as those two have been following each other for the last few laps.
So one of the retired drivers, Nendo, has commented on YouTube saying that the suspension damage was too much to keep going, and repairing in the pits didn't repair it enough to continue the race. So that's a shame.
That is a shame indeed. We don't like to see people DNFing. It's never nice to see. We like people to have fun, race to the end, have a good race. And it seems unfortunate he had to end prematurely for him. Due to suspension damage. But it is something to bear in mind now with the fact that obviously we now have suspension damage in it. You've got to be a bit more careful with your car. You can't whack it together with the other ones like you used to be able to. You can't wall ride, which will help things at tracks like Macau. As all that seconds looking to the inside of the Corvette, as Brennan is getting very, very sloppy now. He seems to be definitely struggling with his tyres. He's slipping all over the place. You might want to whack at the traction control a bit, get a bit more grip there, but Seco is definitely hounding him and keeping on the back of him. I think a move can happen very shortly as long as he can get some straight line performance past him, decent toe and slipstream. Making that, Robert Nygaard's close in the back of Icarus now. They're close together right now. Up a few positions up the field. The current order of the top 5 is Thomas Janssen, Mike Stoffmel, Thomas Olsen, Jake Moore, Tom Pottage. That's your top 5. It's stayed pretty stagnant now. I think that those lot are somewhat in their own little spaces. Stoffmel is just close enough to Janssen that if Janssen makes a mistake, he possibly could capitalise on it, but he's going to have to suddenly gain some pace from somewhere. Those two are fairly even right now in pace. Still, Jake Moore has not really closed the gap with Thomas Olsen yet. I think he would have by now.
Drago's Vibe looks like he's ready to make a move on Yakimchuk. And he decides to stay behind for the chicane.
As you're saying that as well, Axel Second's having a go now at the Gruner into the Mercedes arena. You're on the outside right now. You need to keep the car just there, so you can't really. Oh, there's a bit of contact, but nothing's made of it. Gruner just stays ahead. He managed to get the inside going through the hairpin, but couldn't quite make it stay around. Has a look just before Ford, but stays back for now. But Gruner's in a lot of trouble right now. Second is, in my eyes, the faster of those two cars, so he should be able to get position very shortly, current way they're driving. Max Verstappen is also close to the back of Muller as well, so we've just gone over halfway with 21 minutes to go, and some of the groups are packing up again as tyres are slowly getting worn down, and people who use their tyres very early on will have more issues at this point in the race. Because obviously these new tyres, one big thing about them is they're more sensitive to driver style and getting the temperatures in the sweet spot. And if you over aggressively drive them, you will overheat your tyres, and it will cause them to wear more. It's a big thing now, so a soft driver may have the... It's the point where a soft driver will have the advantage now in terms of pace.
Oh, David Icarus has spun around and lost a few positions there. As to Robert Nygaard and Rasmus Cassel.
As well as Alan Second, who's managed to get...
lose a few more.
Going to be alongside... No, he's dropped behind them.
Yeah, he's dropped down to 10th position.
As
Gronian.
As Alex Second made the move into the final corner, so there was a bit of contact there going into the hairpin. Doing his force wide and possibly like his fellow country... No, it's not fellow country, it's Icarus. I read the flags wrong. It's the fellow Corvette, I meant.
Same livery Corvette.
Same livery Corvette. Will be the same team. As they are fighting now, but Alex did make the move. He managed to make it during the final hairpin. Grinder went very wide on the curb and Second just sent it down the inside there in the final hairpin. Managed to make the move work. So he's now in front now. And he's trying to get his way as quick as he can. Hope these two Corvettes behind him fight. There's a bit more side-by-side action going on with Jackers Bibe and Lights. There's a bit of car contact as well. I lost Dragon Bibe out a bunch of time. Bibe's getting very close to the back. Oh, he spun it. He spun his M6 around in the Mercedes arena. Trying to get going. He's lucky there's no cars nearby. He should be able to rejoin safely. Just in front of Stephen Higgins. Seems that Sebastian Brunier's gone. Gone somewhere.
Indeed, he's dropped from the actual list. So he seems to have disconnected. Probably. Meanwhile, Max Stoffmill is starting to close up on Thomas Jensen. So he might get some action at the front pretty soon.
Yep, we have 20 minutes to go. Just under that. Got on board with Stoffman now. He's on the chase now behind the M6 of Thomas Janssen. Janssen has been leading the start of the race. Now it's there's a bit of fighting going on with Jagus Bibe behind on Steve Higgins, so they're getting close to each other again. Sophomore struggling a bit. Sophomore, if you look at the sector times right now, they're fairly close. There's no real difference between the two drivers right now. But they seem Stoffman's a bit quicker of the two.
Sebastian Brunier just said in the YouTube chat that he got disconnected indeed. Issue on the ISP side apparently. So that's a shame.
That's a shame indeed. He was trying to get his comeback drive on. He was making his way up the order very slowly. Quite hard when he fell back. He lost it right at the start. And sometimes the start is the worst place to lose it because all the cars are grouped together. Everyone's close, so you lose all your positions at once. You can't do much about it. Once the pack spread out a bit, sure, you'll lose quite a bit of time.
And Dragon's Pipe is side by side with Stephen Higgins. Although he went right at that corner, and there's a car parked in the gravel. So he wasn't able to pull off the move.
Yes, on the
Car
back.
in the gravel seemed to be Pahomankov. Had a few spins this race in the Porsche.
Ooh, Dragon's Pipe is just gone a bit deep there. It's Dunlop and it's a bit on the gravel.
Yeah, so he's just lost a lot of time to Higgins.
There's another retirement of Icarus. He's retired. I don't know what happened there. He was close to the back of one of the other Corvettes.
Christoph Verstrepen has also retired. I think he also had a spin early in the race, but he seemed to keep going for a while.
Ooh, and Jansen has lost the lead. He went deep at Dunlop, and now Mike Stoffman has taken the lead right now. Jansen's right on the back of that Audi right now. But yeah, Jansen went deep, I think. I just saw the end of it. Now Jansen said, "Okay, someone get in front of the Audi of Stoffman." But Stoffman's been quick the entire time now. And how easy of a task that will be. A few retirements in this late stage of the race.
Still 17 drivers on track though.
Yep, still 17 to go. 15 minutes left of the race to go as well.
Yes, and trying to get as close as possible to Stoffmill, but Stoffmill seems to have got a better exit.
Yep, the Audi has very good exits. It's an naturally aspirated car, but the M6 is turbocharged, V6 turbo. Has a lot of top end grunt, the M6, but lacks a bit in the low end compared to the Audi. The Audi's a bit the opposite. It has a bit more grunt at the low end, but loses out the top end. So quite a bit of dynamics in these two cars. Quite different cars as a whole. Interesting to see how this plays out. Two very good drivers behind the wheel as well. It'll be interesting to see how Jansen will do on his tyres now as well, because Stoffel is, look, towards the last few laps, managed to somewhat close the gap quite significantly, so high life may become an issue now for Jansen. We'll soon find out in the next few laps or so.
As we have another 15 minutes left in the race.
Yep, so hit the 15-minute mark. There's Mixon Van der Hoves on the back of Muller as well, so quite a bit of racing going on. He's trying to get around in the Mercedes arena, goes down the inside of the Corvette. But can't quite make the move work and loses a bit of time. His rear end gets a bit stuck out as well. This is all letting the Audi behind come close to it. More fun going on here, better for these two. Just move up the order a bit. The top two, Jansen's still holding the gap, but he's not gaining as much as he needs to possibly make a move happen.
Yeah, he keeps losing actually a fair bit of time on the straight. So that better exit of Stoffmill is definitely costing him a lot of time.
You need to get close enough, especially on the straight, where you can then make a line up and move to really try and get in front.
Yeah, so Jansen's last lap was a 55.0, while Stoffmill did a 54.7.
We probably will keep fighting to the end unless Jansen starts losing pace, which is quite a possibility at this point. He's been driving front the entire time, and Stoffel just seems to have a bit of pace now right at the end where he needed it to make a move happen. A small mistake from Jansen just led him to lose position. Still quite close to each other, and anything can happen. There's still 30 minutes to go, or just under. Plenty still can happen in this race. Goes by was closing the back of Higgins, as well as Max van der Hoeven is trying to close the back of Mullet as well. Still plenty of action going on. Be able to do anything. Because he's looking to possibly make a move in Dunlop. He does make the move, very deep dive into Dunlop, but not quite close enough. He's going to try and force the nose on the side, but can't quite get enough of it there to stop the turn in. Quite a risky move, quite easy because lead to your nose getting chopped off and spin to happen. And at this point in the race, it's only 10 minutes to go, and he's got an Audi behind him of Mexico chasing down these two, so he needs to move done, otherwise he could risk losing his position as well. As a back mark is in front of the map back getting out of the way. Down the leading pack to come through.
Loftmill is definitely starting to form a gap to Jensen now, it seems.
Jensen keeping him fairly honest right now. This middle sector is where Loftmill seems to have a bit of a gain visually anyway. Saying that, ooh, he's getting a bit loose then. Car not pointing straight at all. This is where the advantage of having a front engine car comes in. You have the weight's all in the front. There's no weight in the back, so you don't risk the pendulum effect. So the issue with the Porsche is you run too much traction in the rear, then you lose, the car spins around every time. Audi has a similar issue. The engine's quite far in the back of that thing. So you've got to be a bit careful now, especially on this worn tyre with 10 minutes to go. Danson's going to be pushing as hard as he can to try and get that position back. He's been leading all race so far for the last few laps. As the 10-minute mark goes over now. Not much longer to go. Loftmill is definitely losing some speed now in the very slow speed corners. Maybe the high speed where he seems to be getting most of his time right now. Let's hop back to the mid pack as all those three are still getting very close together. This is from P10 to P12 right now. There's three cars hanging very close to each other right now. As the Porsche goes a bit defensive, or looks aggressive, he's trying to get past the Corvette in front of him, swerving all over the place. The Audi's going to come through possibly. Oh, there's a bit of contact going chicane. This is never going to end well. They all keep pointing forward somehow. Valet loses 2 positions out of that. Ooh, that was a bit daring there by the Porsche. Porsche forced it. Max van der Hoeven forced his way through there to the position, and he got away with it.
Didn't work out very well for Moliet though.
Nope.
As the Audi now tries to go down the inside in turn 1.
Oh,
and he does make it. The Corvette almost made the position back as well.
These three are going to fight to the end, I think, unless one of them has an issue. All very close. It's a bit sketchy now. Tires are very worn, not much grip you have. And this is the Porsche has a big advantage now. It's rear engines. It's got all the weight there. And while when you start spinning already, you can't catch it very well. While it's still pointing a straight line, just put the power down and the car goes forwards. It's almost a bit like an automatic correction system as such. One advantage the Porsche has always had. While it does mean it's a bit less nimble on power compared to other cars. When you have worn tyres, it's sometimes a bit of a life saver. As the Audi has somewhat broken away, the Audi does seem to be the quickest of those cars. He's already made somewhat of a bit of a gap to Max van der Hoeven. But
Jake Moore has run into the pit barrier.
Oh no!
He's into the pit lane, which means he lost the position to Tom Pottage. And he's about to drop down to 6 as well as he gets overtaken by Robert Nygaard. And his front end is completely gone.
He must have clipped the king. He must have gone too tight around the corner.
Yeah, he did.
Oh.
He went right into the barrier where it splits between the track and the pit lane entrance.
Disaster. Absolute disaster for him. I hope it's got 30 seconds, I believe, minimum time for changing the front bumper on these cars. Oh, disaster for him. He was doing so well at stop leading P2. He was P2 for most of it, then he had a spin. Barely only on the Michelin corner. And then it's just being downhill now. He's going to lose P10 now, I believe. Yes, there we go. He's P10. And next is going to be Vanden Hoven. Utter disaster for the Audi there, Jake Moore. Strong all race. One slip up cost him so much. Such little time left in the race. It's going to be very hard for him to try and get positions back.
Yeah, he's about to lose another few positions. Dropped all the way down to 16. His second last out of the people still driving.
I'm surprised. That's how close the grid was the entire time. The fact that a 30-second stop will cost you that many positions.
Yeah. He is back on track now, but he won't have the time to actually.
Oh, he gets a drive-through penalty. Drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Oh.
Must have just took the limit off too soon then. Get a drive-through penalty. If this race couldn't get any worse for him.
Meanwhile, Alexander Stecher has retired, it seems. Not sure what happened to him, but I saw him dropping down the order all of a sudden.
The fight for the lead is still going.
And Alexander Pahomenkov has also retired. So not a good day for the Alexanders.
Yep, so that's more retirements. That's a still race between Muller and Max van den Hove. They're still going as the Porsche and the Corvette. The Corvette has a good look down the inside, and he's taking the narrow line. There's a bit of a risk. You can't get quite the exit you want. Hit that narrow, shallow line into that corner. He's looking for it. He's getting so close to the back of that Porsche, nearly hits the rear of it. Jansen is also trying to close the gap now at the front. Well, so he is trying to. He's looking out for possible move into turn one. Not quite close enough.
Yeah, he keeps losing time on the straight, so he doesn't really get the opportunity to try anything into turn one.
Oh, side by side now with Muller and Max van der Hove just caught it. So they're going to Schumacher rest side by side. Will they hang it? No. Muller drops back a bit. Probably for the best of them, otherwise that will be a painful way to end the race. Taking two out the side, hold back for now. Build his position a bit more. He's got under 4 minutes to go now. That's not a lot of time. About 3 laps or so. Get the move done. And the same thing is going on for Jansen right now. He's got to get a move on to make that position happen. This is the hardest part to overtake, is this final set when you have no tyre left, you've got no tread left. It's the car wants to slide, wants to let go, but yet you still got to keep pushing. Otherwise you don't, you're going to let the car in front get away. Vegas Bibe was also kind of close to getting down Steve Higgins down the bottom end of the runners still. drawing to a close. This first race of the season, the first race of the proper combat. That was a spun Audi there. That was Remedco. He was fighting a strong race. He managed to charge through the field and then had a spin that Mercedes arena. I think the tyre life is catching people out now.
And then tries to have a look down the inside of Stoffmill again into turn 1, but again not quite close enough. Oh, backhand goes loose and he's slowed down.
Yeah, he slowed down a lot then. Now picking up speed now, but that may have cost him a chance to get P1 again.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
just-
no, he's spun completely.
Something's not right on that car.
Yeah.
He's got suspension damage on it. So Thomas Jansen's got suspension damage on his car.
Yeah, you can see tire marks coming from his car as well.
Oh, it's
And there's
disaster.
some kind of squeaking sound when it gets close.
Yeah, oh, that's not good. Disaster for the leaders. And he can't. That car just can't turn. He can't turn it at all. It just loses the rear. He must have tapped something on the rear suspension.
Yeah, not sure what happened. Sebastian Brunius says he has a puncture. They are on the same team, so
Oh,
I
it's
guess
a
that
puncture.
information is probably reliable. That
And
would explain a lot, because he didn't seem to have any damage on anything.
And, you know,
Just suddenly lost it.
and he's stuck in the gravel trap. I think he's stuck in the gravel trap. He can't get out. Punctures. That has cost him the race. Oh, disaster. Absolute disaster.
It's a very dramatic ending to his race, and what probably would have been the last lap or the second to last lap.
Yep. That means that Jansen's going to be retired as well. As I said, 20 seconds to go. As Stoffel has started the last lap of the race. Stoffel has got basically to get the car home now. He just needs nothing to happen to him. What a dramatic end to the race. Miller is
Terrible end for Thomas.
Yep, as Miller gets a bit of contact over the Porsche up ahead. He's definitely the move done. These guys should know they have one more lap after this to go.
He says it's where the puncture was down to clipping the curb on the warm tire. Worn tire.
Porsche's going to the pit lane. That hand's
Ah,
Has he miscalculated fuel?
interesting.
So that hands that position to Moore as he has to stop for fuel. This splashes some jacks.
Yeah, is he changing tires?
What's going on? As the start of Buffalo in the final hairpin to finish this dramatic end to the race. As he crossed the line and will finish, take the checker flag for the first win of the OVRC GT Series Season 5. He'll take the win. Followed by him will be Thomas Olsen, who somehow after all that managed to end up P2 and on the podium position. And then, all surprisingly, I guess, for him, Tom Pottis finishes on the podium after having a very uneventful race in P5 the whole time. He will take home P3. Well, behind him will be Thomas Nygaard, which somehow...
Robert Nygaard.
Robert Nygaard, I don't want to say Thomas Nygaard. Will take home P4. Followed by Cassell will take home P5 in the Corvette.
Coronian just coming around the final corner to take P6.
The last few finishes are coming on that.
Goes Bibe and Stephen Higgins are still pretty close together.
Yeah, as Millett will come home P7. There's down a bit close racing going on in the mid-pack, P11 to P12 right now, all still very close to go in the final lap.
It looks like they're going
Oh,
to...
a bit of
bit
contact.
of a tap.
But that cost Dragon Buzz job to make the overtake there and be able to tap there. Lost a bit of speed. And that means Buzz is going to finish P12. And that's the final order, guys. Mike Stoffel takes the first win of the OVRC GT Series. Jake Moore takes the fastest lap after his disastrous end to the race. The biggest disaster, I think, is Thomas Janssen. He's led every lap, made a mistake, lost it, and then got a puncture. And not DNF'd.
Yeah.
No points for him.
Second disaster for Jake Moore.
Yep. And what a dramatic end to that race that was. I didn't think that happened.
It was very unexpected.
That was something. I don't know what to say. Congratulations to Mike Stoffel for a great start to his campaign for the season. He could not got a better result because he and Thomas Janssen, those three at the start, they're going to be close all season, I think. And if he got away with that result, and that's going to help him tremendously. Thomas Janssen's going to have to be on point every race now. So does Jake. They all have to win every single race now to get anywhere near. Any final thoughts, Erwin, before we close off the broadcast?
I think it's been a good first race back. Quite a few things happening, especially in this last few minutes. And I think we did an okay job with the commentary as well.
Coming back for the first time.
Yeah.
After a 9-month break. Thank you everyone for watching this broadcast. It does mean a lot for us, the fact that we, after taking such a long break, the fact that we had so many people, we had like 20 odd people watching at some point, which is insane.
There were concurrent viewers has been between about 15 and 20, which is pretty good for us.
It's been good for us after we had just did nothing, radio silence for 9 months. So
yep.
Thanks to everyone who turned up today for the race. It was a really good race, honestly. It was, and that drama at the end, I did not expect that at all.
Me neither. I thought it was going to be a pretty,
I thought the final position would be ended up by it'll be an epic race. No, it's just a puncture. Just ends like that. Thank you everyone again from me, and I guess everyone's going to say thank you as well.
Yeah, thank you for watching.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
You enjoyed it.
2 weeks time for round 2, which will be at Silverstone GP, a track which Thomas Janssen likes quite a lot. So maybe you'll bounce back after a puncture. Maybe get a puncture again.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Like and subscribe, everyone.
Hit the notification bell.
Yes, because half people didn't get actually reminded, apparently. Anyway, thanks all for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Goodbye.